Should be. There it goes. Hey everybody, Dead Girl here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Wednesday. Joining me this evening is a very talented man. He is a screenwriter and director, Mr. Chris Ballinger.
Hello, everyone. How we doing? Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yes.
We've got tons of fun things to talk about, and I know there are some folks who are not familiar with you. So, if you would give us a little bit about you. What's up?
Well, like you said, pretty much independent filmmaker, screenwriter, director. That's what I love to do the most. But I started that back as an actor, actually, back in the early 2000s. That's where I really got into film and wanted to be an actor. And I started doing film, and then that progressed into wanting to see behind the camera and be behind the camera kind of thing. So I did some film school, stuff like that. And in film school, you kind of do everything. So you kind of learn what you like and what you don't like. And I think I just migrated, because everybody in film school, I was just like, everybody was like, who wants to write it? And everybody else wanted to be just the director or the cameraman and a camerawoman. And I was just like, I'll write it. So I think that's where I just went towards being the writer. And I just decided that's what I love the most, is the writing and directing. And that's where it starts in the mind of the writer. And it's like watching a movie that you're creating. And once you get going in the writing and the characters just take over, and I don't know, that's my favorite thing right now to do. So yeah, that's a little bit of recent history. It goes back further. I played guitar for a while, and I had a DJ business for a while.
Oh, okay.
And I come from a little bit of artist family. My mother's a pastel artist, and my sister's a Photoshop artist, and it goes back even further than that. But I think I have that in my blood. So
you've always been kind of in that creative field, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, being around my mother's art all the time, and she was painting all the time, and I think I just developed that eye to just to be able to frame something and see it, and I'm like, oh, that's a good picture. And then I'd always take a picture or something, and my mother would be like, yeah, wow, your composition was amazing. And I was like, really? And I'm like, okay. So I think that's where it kind of started with that whole thing. And it just progressed, and I was just trying to find different things. I play guitar, play drums for a little while, and then DJ'd, and then it just kind of went towards film.
I was gonna say, how did you go from playing guitar and DJing into film? Because it's still entertainment, but it's definitely a very different section.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a long time between when I was a teenager and playing guitar and drums, and then I went to college for a little while, and then I was like, oh, I got to get a real job kind of thing, and which I did, and all that kind of thing. And then it kind of kept coming back to me. And I've told this before, I wanted to be on Survivor.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to be on a reality show. So I had my friends film me. I actually that's the first time I got a passport, was because you need a passport for Survivor.
Right.
So I filmed my everything about the thing they wanted to do for Survivor, and I sent it off. I mean, obviously I never got on, but and I think it just kind of went there. I'm like, oh, I think I want to do the acting thing kind of thing. I want to be in front of the camera kind of thing.
Now, where did you go to film school?
I went right here in Orlando. It's called First Institute. It's a small 1-year school.
Okay.
Yeah, film school is very expensive for most. So yeah, I went there. It was a short school, and I think it's more of a networking thing kind of thing.
Okay.
Because I use YouTube more than anything now these days. It's just like you can find anything on YouTube, and I've learned more than that on YouTube. I taught myself how to do photography on YouTube.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Just
So
through the different links and stuff, just kind of using
yeah, I
that
would
as
just watch
your.
videos on it, and I figured out what cameras I needed. I figured out what lighting I needed, and then I just learned how to, I already figured out how to, set up a shot and do it, all that kind of thing. And um, I think, I think that's where I progressed to photography into videography kind of thing as well.
Okay. Now, have you, like, being behind the camera versus being in front of the camera, you've done some acting, and you've
Hmm.
already said that you prefer doing the writing and the directing. When you're working on a script, whether, it's just kind of starting at your rough drafts, do you have in mind the people that you want to play your characters already? Or are you just kind of open to, do they have to have a particular look or a particular style of, speaking?
Um, when I first started writing out, yes. Um, the first script I wrote was a long time ago, and I was just kind of dabbling in it, and um, it didn't really go anywhere. And then recently, now that I've been doing the directing and the filmmaking and the writing, yes, some of the scripts that I've written, I've had characters in mind, but I'm
Okay.
progressing along further and further. Like I've done the shorts, and now I'm starting to write the features and the episodics, and they're not necessarily anybody in mind because I kind of want to either sell them or get them, sell them, just get them off to somewhere,
Right.
not make them myself. I've kind of let go of that. I still want
Okay.
to make films myself, but I'm trying to progress towards doing that more professionally as a screenwriter. So selling scripts. So I don't necessarily have some of them in mind.
Okay. Gotcha. So that kind of makes sense then. Because I was gonna say, I know a couple of the shorts that we've seen that you've done, which are fantastic, by the way, and they are on your YouTube channel.
Yes, Ballinger
Which
Films. Yes,
plug, go check them out, you
Ballinger
guys.
Films. Yes, Ballinger Films. It's hard to find. So if anybody, you know, needs to know, just let me know, and I can, I can send them the link and stuff like that. I've had a lot of issues with people like I can't find it, so it's a tough one to find so far.
We'll
So.
link it down in the description box for
Yeah.
anybody that you guys want to check it out later on when this comes back up on replay. I will have that
Okay.
link down there so that you guys can check that out for sure. So when you're going into your writing, what's your like? Does that? I'm assuming it probably takes a long time. If you're working on a short, do you go in with a general idea? Is it something that you just decide like, okay, I'm gonna write today, or does it have to be something that kind of sparks you that you're like, ooh, you're watching something else and you're just like, it would be fun if we did this.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's happened a couple ways because the first one I did was Art of the Deal, and that was sparked by a monologue that I read. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a fun little thing to do. So I wrote the short, and that was Art of the Deal, which did well. It won for Best Actor in
Nice.
Orlando Independent Filmmakers thing. And then it just progressed on. I mean, I think, where was I going with that?
Your ideas and where they come from, how what inspires you.
So like the ones, that's what I'm saying, because some of the ones in the early ones were just something came to my mind. The later ones have been something I've watched. Little Z actually happened after Art of the Deal. The talented little Ansley that you've seen in Art of the Deal and Little Z,
Yes.
she came up to me after Art of the Deal and was like, Mr. Chris, she calls me Mr. Chris for one thing.
Aww.
And she's like, Mr. Chris, because the next thing on the OIF challenge, the Orlando Independent Filmmakers Challenge, was a horror film. And she's like, I want to be in a horror film. Like she was tugging on my shirt.
My heart right there.
Yeah. And her mother was right by her, and she's like, Ansley, stop, don't pressure him to do it. And I was like, no, that's fine. I love horror movies and I want to do something. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to do something. I'm going to write something with her in it. And I went back, and I had been watching at that time a show called Santa Clarita Diet
I love that show.
Yeah, on Netflix, and very funny, very campy, just fun comedy horror thing, and that's what kind of like Lil Z is based on, is based on that kind of
like the fun, not too serious, but
Yeah,
also very entertainingly bloody
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, like a little bit of gore and a little bit of fun, a little bit of campy, just horror comedy combined together, and that's how that came about. Um, uh, Contact, which the one I last did was just because I love sci-fi movies as well, and
Ah.
I used Ansley as well for that. She did an amazing job. But some of my features and stuff, yes, they've been um, mashups. The more I learn about screenwriting and stuff, it's more like, everything's been done before. I mean, even Shakespeare said everything's been done before. So
Right.
it's more like a mashup of stuff together.
Okay.
Um, and it comes out as something else. It comes out as this. So yeah, I mean, one of the ones I've written was from another TV show that I was watching. And then some of it's a lot of life stuff too that you try to add in, because you're always supposed to write what you know. So
That's what they say, right?
that they do say that. So that's where I'm starting with, like, write what I know. So
I mean, it's smart because then at least you know the material, you know the topic. You're not just trying to pull out of thin air. And I know like some sort of research must go into some of the stuff, especially if you know a little bit about it and maybe you want to include it. So of course you're going to do a little bit of research on that too.
yes, yeah. A lot of films like do a lot of research. Like even Contact, the last one I did, I had to do research because I was using a ham radio, and I wanted to know how that operated. And so yeah, you need to do that. So you don't want to lose your audience by not being authentic in that way.
Right, because they'll find it, especially horror fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
They'll
absolutely.
they'll find it and pick it apart and let you know for sure. Like, by the way, this is not how that goes.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I'm one of those people, especially when it comes to zombies. I'm kind of one of those people. I'll put myself out there and admit it.
Well, that's funny because that's my favorite. Like, I think that's my favorite like, I don't know if it's a monster or whatever, but zombies are my kind of go-to. So, but people are always like, I think it's been done. It's been overdone, and I'm like, I think I can still find something to.
There's always a way. There's always something that you can do to add a fresh twist on it.
Yes, that's my challenge. Yes, that's the
especially for
challenge.
that.
Let me find another way to write it.
And I think you guys, I think you did it with Little Z, definitely. Now I wanted to ask you too, is I know, you write it, this one you wrote, you directed. How involved are you with the casting process? Do you, look through and pick? Do you guys get a lot of people that come out and audition for these roles? Or do you have like a core group of people that you tend to gravitate towards?
It's a little bit of both. I will put a casting out there for that, and mostly it's been an online process. They'll submit, and then I'll have them read a side for me, and then if they do well on that or they fit that profile, I'll have them do a different thing. So they see if they can adjust and kind of thing like that. And then, but honestly, like I've used Ansley like for 3 of my films. So, but she's been amazing. She's been amazing. So
I was gonna say she's an amazing girl, that one, and she's gonna do some great things. She does great things now, but I think she's gonna do great things as she grows and as she matures, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. She has hugely supportive family and parents that support her 100% on it. So, which is really good to have. And she's also not just an actress; she's a singer too. She won a contest to go out to LA to sing on a PBS special, which she did.
Oh wow!
It hasn't aired yet, I don't think, because I keep asking her mother to let me know when it airs. But yeah, so she's really talented. So if she sticks with it, yes,
she will. She
will be amazing.
She is a great kid. Very, very nice, very friendly, very outgoing, which is wonderful. And I can't get over it. I love the fact that she was like, Mr. Chris, let's do a horror movie. Let's do it.
She was. She liked. I'll never forget that moment at the theater when it was right after the premiere of Art of the Deal, and she asked me to do that, and then it's just been nonstop after that since then.
And it's kind of funny too, because a lot of people, not saying people I know, but there are some people in Hollywood that tend to look down on horror films, like, well, that's not really, a filmmaking. And it's like, but it is. There's a totally different art form to making a horror movie and writing it and acting in it. It's a complete beast of its own. And I think it's very underrated and very overlooked in the film industry.
Yes, no, I agree. It's frustrating that horror movies are looked down. I mean, I think it's a really good genre that's been around forever,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of great directors and filmmakers that have come from horror and they up from there, and there's a lot of good filmmakers that are in it right now. And I always try to find that challenge to write something really good in the horror genre, to prove that it can be done.
Yes.
There can be quality in. I mean, there's different kinds. There's a slasher and there's the ghost and there's all different kinds of um,
Yeah.
horror out there. So
And I think that's the great thing about horrors, because everybody is afraid of something, whether it's bugs or the undead or ghosts or vampires or werewolves or whatever. There's literally a subgenre for everything. So if you
right,
have a fear, there's a horror movie for it, and that's what makes it so great.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that's a great point because I know I have my fears and everybody is afraid of something. So that's a good idea. Now I'm going to start looking at it like other fears that other people have. I'm like, write something else.
See, that could be a series on its own, like different little fears,
Different fears.
and
Absolutely.
then play on
You got
them.
you got the wheels turning now.
Yay! That makes me happy. I love people's fears. My husband has a thing, like I never tell him. He doesn't know what I'm afraid of, and he will never know because he will
Because he'll
torment
use it
me.
against you.
Yes, he
Yeah.
will, and he does that to everyone I know. He's like, "Oh, what do you don't like clowns?" I'm just like, "Honey, be nice. Stop it." So yeah, so love him, but he will never know.
There you go. Okay.
Now, with I know we did Little Z. We worked with you guys on it
Yes.
in 2019, and it was, thank you so much for that opportunity. By the way, I had so much fun. Everybody was wonderful. It was a fantastic process just to kind of be there and to be involved in it. And I know things now are very different with not only the film industry but like life in general. So in your opinion, how has the pandemic impacted the film industry as we knew it, like, from 2019 versus now?
Um, I think it's been huge because I mean it shut down. I mean the major film industry it shut down. Well, it shut us all down. It
Yeah.
shut us all down for a while. Um, and it was funny because I was talking because I've been really good friends with the OIF community and the organizers of OIF, and during that process, we were slowly testing the waters to come back
Okay.
because I did some hosting for them. I hosted one of their events, and they did a event before that, an online event that we hosted as well. And so they were testing the waters to try to let's do an online event. Everybody stays where they are, and we'll film and a lot of those films were about being in the pandemic, which were
Okay.
kind of freaky because you're actually living at the same time that you're in it.
Right.
Um, but it went well, but you miss that contact. You miss that contact with people, seeing people uh,
Yes.
in real life. So then the next thing I did, I know that I helped host, but we actually got together and did the hosting, but it was still online. And then we just did this last one that I did with Contact, and it was actually we did it at we did it at the Disney AMC Theater. That's what I think they're doing the next one. But it was limited seating, but it was really good to see people again, all these people that you're friends with and stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's not only did you lose, you're losing your income if you're a professional actor or a crew or whatever,
Hmm.
like in Hollywood or Atlanta or anything like that, but you're losing that contact with the people. So I think it hurt, and it definitely hurt the industry as far as getting content out there because now there's not as much content out
Right.
there um, to stream. So I think they're a little behind. I think it helps out for the little independent filmmakers that are making films. They might be able to get content out there because we were talking before this about maybe there was some little positives, and maybe it is positive for indie filmmakers to maybe get their content on a platform because they
Yes.
need that kind of content because they don't have as much now as if it was the pandemic was not didn't happen.
It gives
Um,
them more of a spotlight, I think, because now
mhm.
everybody's switched to like Facebook Live or YouTube or TikTok, especially, or whatever channel is. It's given people, and this is it's a bad thing and a good thing. It's given people time, but it's also given people time to be creative and to share their passions and to share things, especially when it comes to filmmaking and shorts, so that there are eyes on things where perhaps they might have been overlooked before because of big budget films.
True. No, you're 100% correct. I don't know if you saw that. I'm sure you did. That film Host.
Yes, it was so good.
Now that, you want to talk about a fear, that freaked me out.
Did it?
And that was done during the pandemic.
Yes.
It was shot during the pandemic, and if anybody's watching this right now, please go watch that film.
Yes.
It's called Host. It was the freakiest thing, one of the freakiest things I've ever seen.
It was on the nose to the point where, like, it's just to let you guys know, it's all done on Zoom. And I'm going to leave it at that. It's all done through Zoom chat. So for a while, when nobody was really going out and seeing anyone in person and we were all on Zoom, this movie came out. Oh
yes. And it's not that long. It's not a long movie, so you're not investing a lot of time, but it's worth the investment.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, God, I wish I thought of that. I'm like, I was really impressed.
They did a great job. And I mean, I'll be honest, I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times because I miss things the first couple of times around. So as I start to kind of zoom in and pay a little bit more attention, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes a little more sense. So, I mean, if you guys haven't seen it, yes, definitely check out Host.
It plays on your fears of being alone, being isolated and alone. And that's what freaks me out. Wow. So, sorry, I was just getting off on that. I was because that was just
okay.
like...
It plays on a lot of different fears. It plays on the loneliness. It plays on the fear of, like, paranormals and all kinds of different things. So it hits on a couple of different levels, which, oh, yeah, I can't. I gush about it all the time. Whenever I get a chance, I'm like, go watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
One of the, like we were talking before, one of the last things, not one of the last things, but one of the things that you had worked on and that you're still in the process of doing things with is on a short called Little Z. And I do have a trailer, which I'll cue up so the folks at home can kind of take a peek if they have not taken a gander at this yet. But in your own words, could you tell us a little bit about Little Z?
Yes. We did talk about that a little bit, but the main concept of Little Z is about a small town sheriff, and he is a fairly new sheriff, and he marries his love of his life, and her daughter happens to be a little zombie. The problem with that is the police. This happens after a zombie apocalypse. So there's zombies still around. They're kind of living with the human population, but there's a curfew on that. Okay. So they have to be in at a certain time. This evil corporation that I call evil corporation has taken over pretty much the town. They've corrupted everybody. The police department's corrupt. The town is corrupt. So they are trying to get the young zombies in for testing. They're trying to test them for a certain reason that I haven't said yet. You'll find out in the series. This is the dilemma with Scott, the main character, is he works for the sheriff's department, and then he has this zombie stepdaughter. So he's conflicted between doing his job and
protecting this girl as that father figure.
Being the father figure. And they don't get along. I mean, they're butting heads the whole time throughout the whole series too, because he's new stepdad, and she's a preteen. So they go through the preteen issues that you'd have as a normal preteen, but on top of that, and then some, being a zombie at the same time, there's other issues that come along at the same time. They're trying to hide her. She has trouble in school. She gets trouble in school a lot, that kind of thing. I did the short for the OIF Film Festival 2019. Seems so long ago now.
I know, right?
Yeah. It won for best story in its category. So I decided to turn it into a series. So I wrote 6 episodes for that series. And we're going to reshoot actually the first episode because we want to improve on the story a little bit. Yeah, there was stuff I couldn't do at that time, which I'm going to hopefully do now. If we're going to crowdfund for the series. Okay. Which is funny that because we're doing the crowdfunding video this weekend, shooting it on Saturday.
Timing.
Yes, good timing. So.
Well, I will definitely
and then we'll put the crowdfunding campaign together. What's that?
I will definitely be sure to share that, and I'll link that down below too, so
Yeah.
that as folks are watching and they can, if they'd like to go ahead and support, they can go ahead and do so.
Yeah, because everything. I have these bracelets. I have the cards. Everything say 2020, and I'm like, just forget it. It's probably gonna be 2021 at this point. Hopefully, it'll be 2021 at this point.
But that makes it a
So
collector's item now because it's got 2020 on it.
it's funny you say that because I know you guys collect a lot of things, and I was like, this is like one of those misprint kind of things,
Yes.
that happens. It's like I have all this stuff that's not that says 2020 now.
It's
That's
okay.
gonna be worth something maybe.
You never know. It could be worth millions down the road.
You never know. You never know if this thing takes off. We'll see. But hopefully we'll get crowdfunding for the. Actually, my producer says we will get the money for it. So I'm gonna say we will.
Yes, it's gonna happen. I have full faith.
Which is good for you guys because I'm bringing you back,
Yay!
you and JD back to do all the special effects because we'll have obviously more blood and guts that we'll need.
Those are my two favorite words: blood and guts.
Two favorite blood and guts. So so we'll be doing that.
All
so
right.
Yes,
awesome. Let's show you guys the trailer for Little Z. Give me 1 second.
Great, sweetie.
I look hideous.
No, not at all. You can't even tell.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Great.
Come on, honey. I'm sure you look fine. You look, very normal.
Really?
Yes, you look very alive.
Get going, hon.
I'm still getting used to the whole zombie thing.
Keep your voice down.
This came off.
Oh, thanks for arm. You look beautiful.
This is our job, man. We kill the old zombies and bring the young ones in for testing.
Yeah, but he was just a kid.
But to me, she is just my little girl.
Look, we are hiding a young zombie. We could lose everything.
Hi, I'm Jack.
I'm Jill. We're with the Child Protective Services.
You're Jack and Jill? You don't get it?
Yes, I'm very alive in this house.
I can assure you that Lily is very well taken care of.
Here because some teachers saw bruising on Lily's arms and were concerned.
We're gonna need to look around.
Okay.
We know that you're a zombie.
Okay, what is going on at work?
I need this job.
She wouldn't hurt anyone.
How can we keep up this ruse?
You're not allowed. Family first.
We were only gone for a minute.
Yay. Oh, good. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And it's been re-edited since then because I had our great cinematographer, Greg Limon, to edit it. He re-edited it. The other version was edited for the film festival. It had to be 10 minutes. So it's longer than 10 minutes. So this one is, so what's on YouTube now is the long extended version, which it works so much better. So yeah, but thank you. Thank you.
Now we'll make sure to link that down below in the description box for everybody watching the replay so that you can go and you can take a gander at Little Z and its entirety and how fantastic it is.
Thank you.
There's I will say the end gag with the blender is probably I giggle. I've watched it a couple of times and I giggle every time we go back and watch it. I'm like, that's just fantastic.
I laugh every time I pull it out at home because I'm like, I know what we did with it on set. So
it was fun. It was a pleasure to be a part of. Now, how did you go about casting that? I know you've got some folks that have been in many of, smaller films around town. They've acted in some different roles. I know the leading lady, one of the leading ladies, Erin. She's worked at like Horror Nights and a bunch of other things.
Correct.
And Chuck's done a lot of stuff too. And John's done some improv. And yeah, so how did you end up casting everybody?
Well, with Ansley, obviously she was the whole instigator on this whole thing.
She's like, I'm in and that's it.
She's in. So I had to put her in it because she was like, she's the one that started this whole thing. Yeah, John, I used in Art of the Deal, and John's an amazing actor. He's good at anything, and he's a great writer. He's helped me produce, direct, and everything like that. So I was like, he works perfect as these bumbling detectives. They're not really detectives, but it's funny the way they are.
Jack and Jill.
I
love the names so much.
I know. I don't know why that just popped into my head one day, and I'm like, I'm just gonna call them Jack and Jill, and I'm like, now make jokes about Jack and Jill along the way.
And it's perfect.
Right, and something happens to them in this film, but we keep them in the whole series, so they stay in the whole series. After that night of the premiere, we all sat down for dinner and drinks, and I'm like, how are we going to keep these people in here? And we had a discussion, and then we figured it out how to it's almost like a running gag of them the whole way through, that they're just this bumbling couple that just can't get what they need to get done. Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned that, because Aaron and Chuck were not the original people. I had trouble with this film. I had a lot of trouble with any film. You kind of have trouble with crew and cast. It's hard to get people. A lot of people drop out. Even main cast people will just you have conflicts or issues like that. So John was helping me produce, and I was like, at the 11th hour, I was like, John, we don't have a main guy, we don't have a main girl, and he's like, hold on, I will find these people. So he found Chuck Fusca and then Aaron Klein, and they were amazing. And Chuck and I have created a good bond, and he's an amazing actor and writer. Yes. And he has his own stuff on Playground Punks, and we've helped each other out with his stuff too. So it almost was kind of meant to be, how things just happen for a reason kind of thing. And it just really happened for a reason. But that shoot was issues, because I lost my makeup artist, my first camera assists, and my behind the scenes photographer, and I had a guy that has a cop car that was supposed to bring a cop car, because we pull up in a car, but we ended up shooting it really tight, so you couldn't see that it wasn't not a real cop car.
Wow. So you lost quite a little handful there.
That was the last week before we shot. I was like pulling my hair out trying to.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That had to be wicked stressful. Oh my goodness.
It was.
Well, I mean, despite all of the unfortunate events that happened, I enjoy it. I think it's a fun short. I can't wait to see how everything progresses. I think Chuck and Aaron I don't want to say they're the perfect couple, but they're such a great match.
Yeah, it really worked out.
I mean?
Right. It's not like we tested them together or anything. It just was like, hey, here, you two are husband and wife.
You're married now.
You're married now. I have married you together, and you're going to be acting together. So Aaron and Chuck they really get into the characters, and they really care about them. When they come up to me like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? They really actually care and want to do a great job. And I was just like very impressed by that they just were really just wanted to make sure they did their characters great justice. So I really appreciated that. So the group that I had was great. I mean, everybody, them and the crew, and then you guys coming on and helping us put that together. But everything, every situation I learned. So like that was like with you guys at the end, I know I needed more time to do all the gags and stuff like that. So that's one thing I learned as being, a new filmmaker, is to, schedule the time a little better.
I don't think people realize that time tends to get away from you.
It does. And then the sun's going down, and I'm like, then we have to relight it and all that. It was a scramble to get stuff done. So.
But everybody made it work, and that's, I think.
They did. Everybody came together. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you had mentioned like Aaron and Chuck coming to you and kind of talking to you a little bit about the character. Are you open, when you're directing or screenwriting, are you open for any type of, I don't want to say ad-libbing, or maybe adding some things to maybe enhance a scene, in your opinion? Are you open to that, or are you pretty much like, stick to the script because that's what's going to sell it?
Right. No, because I don't think I hold myself to that high that's the word that needs to come across. The other thing too is being an actor and coming into a scene, sometimes I couldn't get the line exactly right because that's not the way I speak. So unless it needs to be done exactly that way, it changes a little bit. So I was very open to that. So as long as you get the concept across, or the feeling and the emotion or whatever across that I'm looking for, say it the way it makes you feel comfortable doing that. So yeah, I'm very open to that. I'm very open to, and as a director, I let them do their thing first. Because as an actor, that's your job, is to bring the character to life. So, and as a director, I'm here to direct you, to help you form that. But I want you to come to set and do your thing. And then if we need to adjust it, we'll adjust. Yeah. So, I know I took that, I watched a masterclass on Ron Howard, and that's the way he directs, is he lets his actors do their thing, and then if they need adjustment, he'll adjust them. And that's the way I like it. I'm like, I don't want to be that bossy guy that I'm like, you need to do it this way, or it's not going to happen. So,
right. My way or the highway, you're done.
Yes. So, absolutely.
And do you think that having been in that actor's, I don't want to say seat, but in the acting position, do you think that that's helped you as a director so that you can kind of see that other side, so that you know where they're actually coming from?
You know what's funny? I think it has in some ways, and then it has in some ways. You really have to be able to explain things to people, which is the thing that I think I am working towards, is being able to, I know how to do it, but let me be able to explain it to you and get it across to you. Let me use the right adjectives. Let me use the right words. Let me use let me be able to explain it to you. It's almost like teaching. Some people, if you can teach really well, kind of thing, I think, because some of my crew has brought that up before, that, about that. So some of my crew is not afraid to tell me where I need improvement in, which is good. I appreciate that.
Okay. It's constructive criticism.
It has been constructive. I appreciate the constructive criticism. So yeah, I think it's helped me in some form because I understand where they're coming from. But then in the other way, I need to be able to make sure that I can tell you what I want.
Right.
So they understand it. Especially when you're talking to like a 9 or 10-year-old girl, you're like trying to explain these huge life situations that they haven't been through before, and stuff like that.
And it's almost like Greek
and Little
to
Z
them.
was and then Little Z was a challenge because she had never done anything like physical. She was jumping on John and Catherine, and like, I'm like, bite into her, and she's like, no, I don't want to. And I'm like, no, bite his neck. It's a prosthetic.
Okay. You can bite into it.
You can bite in. It was so hard to get her to do that, but so I found it a good challenge to try to get her in that mindset. But afterwards, she's like, yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Now, you mentioned that you're going to be doing 6 episodes of Little Z. Did you have in mind that you wanted to make it a series when you were doing the short initially, or was that something that as you were editing it, you were like, you know what, we could keep going with this?
No, not initially. When I first initially wrote it, I wasn't. It was like I just wanted to do a project for the OIF next film festival.
Yeah.
And then when I started writing and think about it, I'm like, well, there's a lot of story to tell here, actually. And then, like I said, I watched Santa Clarita Diet, and I'm like, that's an episodic serial show. So I'm like, I could not follow it, but kind of be the same kind of thing. It can be the same kind of thing. And then when I started thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, no, there's a lot here. So in my mind, I have 3 seasons out already in my head.
Oh, wow. Wow. Do you have it all written out already, or do you just have like your first 6 written out, or are you still just kind of going with it?
I have the first 6 written, and then I broke down season 2 and 3 because I made up a pitch deck for it, with a pitch deck of like all of like what it's about, pictures, who's the cast, who's the crew, you know, that kind of thing. So I could present it for financial people to get some financial backing on it.
Okay.
So.
And then the crowdfunding video, when are you guys, do you have a time frame on? I know you said you're shooting that this weekend. Do you have a time frame on when that's going to be released?
No, we got the crew together. Greg Moan, our cinematographer, he has shot all my stuff. He will be doing the editing.
Awesome.
But he's pretty fast, so it'll be done pretty quickly. I got to sit down with my producer, Robin Hoffman. She's amazing, a writer and director and filmmaker. But she's really good with paperwork, so that's where I need help with on that. So we're gonna sit down, because crowdfunding is like, I'm using this company called Seed and Spark. They're all about independent filmmakers. That's all they do. It's not like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo that you could crowdfund for anything. This one's just for filmmaking, and they have an 80% success rate. But they have a formula that you got to go through to hit before, so you can before they'll let you post all of your stuff. So one thing is the video, and then we got to come up with incentives, and we got to come up with all the direct email things for it too. So I'm hoping to have it sometime in May or June for a month, and we'll crowd for a month or 2 and see if we can, raise the funds.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm sure it has. I mean, the short's amazing as it is on its own. I'm sure it's gonna, you guys.
Yeah, we're not asking for a lot. We're not asking for a lot.
Millions. Pay them millions.
I need millions. Yeah.
That's everybody's dream, right? Like, here's a blank check. Just go do your thing.
I know, right? I don't know. We've heard Ansley's dad is the CEO of his company is in LA, and he's funded Hollywood projects before. So we have some contacts out there, so we're trying that avenue as well.
Nice.
But we'll see.
Time will
there's
tell.
A lot of projects out there.
Things will be good.
Yes.
You got to put that positivity out.
I feel
there
confident.
and get it back.
I feel confident. I really enjoy the story. I still love it years later here now. So and I want to tell it. So.
Nice. Now, aside from Little Z and that amazingness, do you have anything else that you're working on currently or going to be working on?
I contacted, I don't know if you know Robert Massetti, do you, from the
Yes,
Show Film
yes,
Festival?
I do.
I met him quite a few years back on a project I wasn't working on with him, but I met him I think it was at Spooky, actually. It might have been Spooky.
Probably, because didn't he do the film festival for a while, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Okay.
He's still doing his Freak Show Film Festival. But I go to his film festival a year and become friends with him, and obviously he's a huge horror guy. So
he's one of us.
Yes, he's one of us. So I reached out to him because everything I've done along the way is tried to learn new things. Write. Everything I've written is to learn a different way of writing. Every film I've tried to learn a different thing, but I've never really collaborated with anybody. It's all been my thing, and then I just go out and look for people to help me. So I reached out to him, and I'm like, hey, would you like to write a horror film together? So he was like, yeah, absolutely. So we've had a couple meetings. The film's called Wish. It's about a wish.
Okay.
Maybe has a demon in it. Well, I don't want to tell too much of it, right? So we're working on the project now, hopefully to shoot at the end of this year.
Very cool. So you guys are coming right along with it then.
Yeah. It's coming right along. He's working on the main writing part of it, and then I'm going to add a few things into it, and then we're going to direct it together. Okay. But it sounds fun. It sounds like a fun project that we're going to do together. And then, cool. That's the next thing. Obviously, Little Z, I am currently working on now because the crowdfunding is going to take a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I'm writing like mad. I have several features that I've written, and I'm writing an episodic now. And then I want to do my next thing after that to shoot would be a monster type movie. So I'm looking to shoot that.
Nice.
Shoot that next, which I'll be contacting you guys for to create a monster. So
okay,
as well.
Making monsters. It's what we do on Saturdays.
Yes. That's what I want. I actually want, because I love like monster, like a real monster, like
not
like
just something that you see off screen or like a shadow, but like the old school. Nice.
Yeah, because I'm old and it's old school, and I like I like the old practical onset effect kind of thing. I mean, the CGI is fine, but I want an actual practical monster that you see.
Yes. I am definitely partial to a practical monster myself.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy them more. I find them more scary because CGI most of the time just looks like CGI, and sometimes it's needed, and that's great, but it's not as scary.
I think it's good to enhance a story, but I don't know if you want to base a story around a lot of that. So that's my problem with a lot of it. So
it's understandable. Now, if you had a dream project that you could do and somebody was like, here's trillions of dollars, go make this movie, like what would your dream project be? Would it be a film or would it be like a series?
I think it'd be a film. I have a film that I want to write that's completely opposite of anything horror or comedy or anything. It's because before I did the flying, before I worked for an airline, I was a firefighter and a medic. And
oh wow.
I have this story I want to tell, because between the first responders, right, lately over the last few years, the suicide rate has gone up on first responders.
Yeah.
So I have this story I want to write about these three people, these three friends, a firefighter, a cop, and a nurse, and then one of them kills themselves, and it's that they have how they have to deal with that loss, and just get out there about like that message about suicide and how bad it is. So yeah, if you came with me with money, that's where I'd probably try to go right towards. Besides making horror movies, I mean, I can make horror movies all day, but
that sounds like it'd be interesting and very sad, which is okay. Sad.
It would be very
okay,
sad,
but it sounds like it would have a good message behind it.
Yeah, I just want to get that message across, because it's funny, because like I started as writing comedy, and now I'm into this. I'm writing all like drama stuff. Yeah, I don't know where it went. Besides Little Z, which is a horror comedy,
right.
All my stuff coming up now is drama.
Oh.
So.
Well, I mean, right? What you know.
I kind of switched. Yeah, right.
But that's good though that you can do that, because some people can only write one type of thing, and some people can write, you know what I'm saying, like others. So it's good that you're able to switch between the genres.
Yeah, I'm trying to like I said, like everything I'm trying to do is just trying to learn a different way. I want to learn as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because I just entered a screenwriting contest in New York. It was a short screenwriting contest. It was 12 pages or less. They give you the genre, the person, who it is, and what's their occupation.
Okay.
And you had a week to write it. And
okay.
that was my competition to see if I could write something in a week. And thank God they gave me horror. They gave me horror.
Oh, nice.
I know. I was like, thank God, because there was so many genres. There was so many genres. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna give me this weird ass drama, and I'm not gonna be able to do it. But it was horror, vending machine repairman, ghost story.
Okay, haunted candy bars.
I'm like, this is. I was like, this is perfect. I love it. I wrote it in like a day.
Nice.
And, but that was my practice of writing something that somebody asked me to write. So, you know, if I was on a writing team and somebody's like, hey, write this episode, I'd be like, I could write it, you know.
You could bang it out pretty quickly, especially
bang it
if
out right
it's
quickly. So
horror with a vending machine, repairman, and some ghosts.
As long as it's horror, yeah, I'm I'm good.
Is that your favorite genre to write?
It's definitely my favorite genre to watch. I think I think it's one of my favorites to write as well. I think drama has become, like I said, more my favorite thing
Okay.
to write. I write about people that don't fit in. It seems like I've gone towards that
The
that way.
outcasts.
The outcasts. Every film that I've done is a little bit that way, and every film that I'm writing now is kind of that way.
Okay. Now,
So people that are a little different don't fit in. Yeah.
and I mean, that's always something that's going to be relevant. You know what I mean? Because there's always the one kid or the group of kids that are just not popular. They don't fit in. It doesn't matter how hard they try. You know, there's always that scenario. So that's something that's, I feel, is always going to be relevant.
Yeah, I mean that's what Little Z is about. It's like a preteen girl. It's just like that. It just takes what teenagers go through, you know, these days, that they don't fit in, and the bullying and everything that goes on with that.
And then you add decomposing, and that's a whole other world of
And then you have to put on a ton of makeup because you're decomposing every day and your arm falls off, and
Ma's got to stick it back on, and it's just that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just Tuesday. Yeah, we're not even to the weekend yet.
The world of Little Z, that's a Tuesday morning.
Right.
Now, we've established that we both had this mutual love for horror. So I ask this of all of my guests that come hang out and chat with me. And you don't have to name just one. You can name multiple. I'm allowing for multiples. What is your favorite horror movie? It's rough, I know.
It is rough. And I think back all the way back to like the early 80s, you know, because I'm a big Halloween fan.
Yes.
Of all the Halloween movies. I think I would say Alien too.
Nice. Good choices.
Maybe The Thing.
Maybe
The Thing. Or any you know, Dawn of the Dead, or you know,
the original or the remake though?
The original, the George Romero one, yeah.
I was gonna kick you off if you said the remake.
I know, right? I want to stay on a little longer, so we'll say the one from the 70s. Yeah.
I am not a fan of the I tried. I tried. Like the first 10 minutes of the remake had me. I was like, wow, that's how you start a horror movie. You take, you know, that sweet innocent moment and you turn it at the snap of your hands. That had me. And then after that, I was like, I'm done.
Right.
It lost me. So, I mean, that was one of the few horror films that grabbed my attention immediately, but then was also one of the few that lost my attention just as quickly.
Right. No, I agree. You have to definitely go with George Romero for that original.
Yes.
But
and
I think I like Pan's Labyrinth too. That was on the tip of my tongue.
It
Because it was very beautiful. I mean, I don't know if it's horror because it's just.
I think
innocent.
it's on the cusp.
I just like Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he's one of my favorites. So.
His creatures are outstanding. Oh my
goodness. Yeah,
goodness.
he's just I think that's where maybe I get my creature thing for. Like I want to be, you know, I want to do a creature, and I'm like I want to do a Guillermo del Toro creature, you know, because I love what's his name that plays all the creatures. Like, what is his name? I can't think of his name.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think.
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat want to chime in and let us know his name? Because he played Abe Sapien too, didn't he? In Hellboy.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did, and he was in Skies Falling, that TV show. Played the.
Doug Jones.
Yeah, he's Doug Jones.
Thank you, Hunt,
That's
San and JD. Doug Jones.
Thank you. Yeah, I think he's amazing. Like he's just amazing creature. Like, yeah, he did Shape of Water.
Yes.
You know, he did Shape of Water.
I have not seen yet, but I've heard good things. I do need to give that.
Oh,
a watch.
You haven't seen that yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Oh.
I do need to.
You need to watch that because that's a great story. As a screenwriter, that to me it's a great story between the creature, the ugly creature has the good heart, and the good-looking guy has the bad heart. It's just that clash of like
that dynamic.
That dynamic of like just because you're good-looking doesn't mean you're
a good person,
nice guy, and a good person, and the creature is the nice one. It's really good. He just does good stories like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some questions coming in here from the chat. If anybody else has any, feel free to chime in. I've got, I always butcher this name. Hello Radio Lives is asking, do you enjoy collaborating with other writers, or do you find it more fulfilling to work on your own? Or have you collaborated with many other writers?
That's the thing is like with Robert Massetti is like really honestly the first official collaboration with other writers.
Okay.
And I that's why I wanted to do that, because I wanted to really see how that would work because as a writer, I feel like as a writer, you're just such a solitary person. It's like I come home and I sit in my chair, I put classical music on or
Nice.
meditation music on, and I write. And
Okay.
but the problem with that is when you run into a spot, I have to be three people at once. I'm asking myself, I'm like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? You know, it's just like you have no you have nobody to collaborate off of. So I'm like,
Right.
I don't know who do I talk to about this? So I wanted somebody like that, because when I was writing comedy back in the day, I was writing stand-up and sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And I was always trying to find somebody to collaborate with, and I couldn't, because I felt like telling jokes were a little different than actually writing a story.
Yeah.
So I'd like to do more in the future. The thing is like, you know, like with Chuck and all the other filmmakers that we use on set, they're all storytellers. So they all have their own stories to tell. So they're all off writing their own things, and then we get together. I'll shoot your project, we'll shoot your project, we'll shoot your project, and we'll shoot your project. So, you know, we haven't collaborated.
That's great to have that. I don't know what to say, how to word this, like common base where you guys can reach out to each other and you can work with each other in that sense too, to where you
Right.
kind of have your own teams that you're, you know, used to working with on certain things. So it also helps because you get to know different people and personalities, because I'm sure that probably factors in too with filming. If there's a clash, you know, you don't ever want to deal with that, because that's never good for anyone.
Right. No. And that's what we wanted to do here. Even when I was talking with John Connon, you know, he wanted to form this coalition of filmmakers together, that we all work together and try to get Orlando on the map, because there's so many good crews
Yes.
and cast here, and it's just frustrating because we don't get the incentives, so nobody's coming here. Big
I
people
know.
are coming here, but there's a lot of talented people around here. So
Yes.
that's why I'm happy with OIF. They're really, Lenny and Sevilla LaRusso are really trying to get the word out there.
Yeah.
About this with their film festival. So
And there's been a lot of good films at those film festivals too. I mean, they're
Yeah.
they're definitely fun to go to and to watch, and there's so many
my God.
different, you know, people involved with it. It's such a great entertaining evening. I highly recommend, if you haven't gone out to check out, you know, one of those film festivals, please do it.
Yeah, and they're very good about. They're all about workshops. They just had a workshop the other day about how doing a reality TV show if you wanted to. So they're all about the education, and they've added on Jacksonville and Tampa to their. They're just trying to take
okay.
over Florida. So
Nice. They should. Somebody needs to take over Florida. They should do it.
somebody needs to take over. So yes. To that question is, it's Robert is the first guy that I'm doing it, collaborating with as a writer.
Okay.
I've collaborated with other filmmakers on stuff, but as a writer, that's the first collaboration.
Okay. That's fantastic. See, I'm glad that you were able to find someone to make that connection so that you could have that experience. I love the fact that you're willing to learn and add to your repertoire of things. You know what I mean? You're not just stuck going, I'm good, I don't need anything. So it's nice to see that, you know, you're open for growth and you're happy to grow and willing to. And I think that's what also helps to make for a successful person in any business, really. And I think that that's so fantastic that you're open to that.
Absolutely. I feel like I have to actually tell myself, stop and take a break and do something fun, because it's always like, no, let me watch a video, let me read something, let me write something. It's just like, no, I should take some time for myself as well.
Yes, the breaks are much needed, so you don't burn yourself out. I have learned this through working my day job. I burn myself out. You need those breaks to get that piece of sanity back, so that you can kind of start fresh.
Well, I did that as an actor. I burned myself out because I was going to acting class once a week, but I lived in Daytona Beach. When I was driving to Orlando, Tampa, and Miami, 3 or 4 days out of the week just for auditions and stuff. So it was just like I just burnt myself out of it. That's why I kind of pulled myself back for a while.
And that's
It was just too much.
That's a long drive too. For people that don't know Florida geography, we're not like 5 minutes from each other, by the way. So like from, Daytona to Miami is what, like 3-4 hours? And then to Tampa
3 or 4 hours, depending.
What, two?
Two
2.5?
Two and a half from Daytona, yeah. Oh. Yeah, I would run down to an audition to Miami, and I'd be there for 30 minutes and drive right home. So So I was on the road more than I was in Miami. But I mean, I got some good stuff down there, but God, I was just on the road nonstop.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I am from Fort Lauderdale, not from Fort Lauderdale, but I lived in Fort Lauderdale originally before I moved up here with my now husband, and we'll go back to visit my parents. I did it once, I refuse to do the 1-day trip from hell, as I call it, because by the time you get down there and you spend any time, you're only there for like a couple hours, and then you got to drive back because it's like a 3 to 4 hour trek. And that's if traffic is good, which is rare because Florida,
not down there. No, traffic's not good down there.
Traffic is horrible down there, and the driving is terrible. So I commend you for being able to do those quick turnaround times, because I did it once and I was like, nope, I'm getting a hotel and I'm spending the night because I'm not doing that again.
Oh, it was hard. And then I did the TV show Burn Notice for
nice.
3 episodes, I think I did. And they were like, hey, just come back tomorrow. Hey, come back. I was like, oh my God, I drive home back. I was like, it was just like,
it was all the back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, it was well worth it to get on a real professional set, but it was just like, oh my God, it was a lot of driving.
So what did you get to do on Burn Notice?
I played a cop.
Nice.
That seems my typecast. I'm typecast as a cop, so but it's fine. It means I'm cast. It's something. So, but yeah, I played a cop on that show.
Cool.
But it was fun.
We have some friends that worked on that show as well down there doing, I think, craft services maybe or something. We had some friends that worked down there too, and everybody said that they was good, which makes me happy. I like when people have a good time.
Oh yeah, it was like obviously professional set. Yeah, I got to meet Bruce Campbell, so I mean that's
nice.
Evil Dead.
Oh, my heart. That's my top 2 films.
Another great. That's what I'm saying. I was on the edge of that one too because I love Evil Dead, and then Ash versus Evil Dead TV show was just it was a lot of fun.
I'm still sad it got canceled, but I understand.
I can't believe it got canceled. I can't believe it. I can't.
Still not happy about it. I still would like them to come back, but I guess I get it. Not really.
No, I don't know. I was shocked. I was really shocked.
Yeah, I was that one, and then you mentioned before Santa Clarita Diet. I was very upset that they canceled that because that was such a good show.
Yeah, I thought it was well written, and it's different. It was different, and I was like, that's something different. It's not like the typical, I guess Hollywood doesn't like different, so.
God forbid. You gotta get out of that formula.
This is true.
Well, I appreciate you joining us this evening. If you guys are looking for Chris, where can people find you? Where's the best place for someone to get in touch with you, to reach out or follow you?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, if you want to see it's a good question, but I know the answer. So I have an answer. The best place, if you want to see the videos, like I said, Ballinger Films on YouTube. Like you said, it's hard to find, but if you need a link, I can give you the link. Also on Instagram, on Ballinger Films is another great place to find me. If you need to message me or anything like that, that's really just reach out to me on Ballinger. That's probably easier to find on Instagram than it is on YouTube. So yeah, please reach out to me if any questions or anything like that, or just want to chat about film or horror or screenwriting, because that's where the other thing with my channel, like, because it was funny, I started this Ballinger Films channel and I'm like, I don't have any films to put on it. I gained all these followers from just recently, and now I'm like, everybody's gonna be like, what's going on? So now I've started doing now I've started doing reviews on products, and stuff like that, on about screenwriting or filmmaking or anything like that. So I'm going to be posting more of that stuff to keep the channel going, so people can keep, interested in it.
Awesome. Very cool. So make sure that you guys are subscribing. So
Yes, please subscribe. There'll be more on there coming up, and then hopefully some more films by the end of the year.
Nice. And we'll have that link down below as well so that you guys can do the easy thing and click on the description and boom, click and head over. So subscribe, follow, do all the things. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out and wanting me to come on here. I was very happy that you asked me to come on. I'm very excited.
I was like, you know what? People need to hear from Chris. People need to hear
I
about
appreciate
the
it.
film, and they need to know. So thank you so much. I know you're busy, so I appreciate the time. Hang out. Don't leave just yet. I did want to talk about some things coming up real quick for some of the folks who are checking this out. Spooky Empire is coming up. It is happening April 30th through May 2nd. It is an in-person horror convention here in Orlando at the Wyndham. And tomorrow, Thursday, our friends over at Haunt Scene are going to have the promoter, Petey Mangelli, will be on. They'll be talking about the convention, so make sure you tune into our friends over there and tell them a dead girl says hi. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Until next time, make sure you keep it spooky.